Hello, everyone. Welcome to VR Verdict, episode 65, our weekly podcast where we talk about everything VR. I am PJ.
I am Wookie.
And we would like to share VR with you. This episode, we talked to Peter Nygren for a second time about his game Descent Alps, telling us how development went in the year since we talked to him last about it, and a little bit about other VR
situations and statuses thereof.
Yeah. And some games he has liked and maybe hasn't liked.
And an interesting take on VR fatigue.
Yeah. So, Wookie, this is Peter. Peter, this is Wookie again.
Hello again.
This is Peter's second time joining us on the podcast to talk about his game Descent Alps. We had you way back in early development. Love the game then, still loving it now. How are things going on your end?
A lot of things have happened, but it's generally it's going great. I feel. I remember it was like the game had just been released like a couple of months ago on SideQuest back then, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a lot of stuff has happened since then.
I don't recall if Wookie played it back then, but I remember I played it on SideQuest. Fell in love with it. I loved the rhythm and the music. It was just a very relaxing experience, and I had never went skiing before, and I really felt like I was skiing, even though I've never done it. But it's good to talk to you finally now that the game is actually fully released and out there, and wanted to have you back and see how that was going.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it and like VR things in general as well. I just remember that we had like a really fun and interesting conversation back then, so I'm looking forward to it.
I actually have played it now. I meant to play it back then, but I'm the worst about going into SideQuest and downloading demos, so I think I forgot. But playing it today, and I was thinking, skiing, that was kind of during my lunch break while I was remoting into work. So I was thinking it was a sit-down game because I could be skiing. I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm like, doing the twirl, I got to stand up. But I'm like, there's maybe a couple feet, not very much room between my couch and my coffee table where I was standing. So I'm like, I'm going to have to be really careful. When I got out of it was hard to do the training because I was knocking into stuff.
Yeah.
The first
you did quite a lot of space.
Yes. I was trying to lean and kept bonking. But the funniest part was, I don't remember. I think it was like illuminated ski slope. I tried right after I got done with the training, and like there's
the first sort of course after the training tutorial stuff.
Yep, there was another one up to the top right of the map, and I was like, that one looks a little advanced, so I wanted to see the illuminated. And there was a big drop, like a big hill, and I was leaning really far forward. I'm like, I'm gonna fall straight onto my coffee table, right onto my lunch dishes and stuff. I'm like that I just eaten. I'm like, I'm gonna die, so I had to put it away. But it was really like I need to do this because I don't know if I just haven't been using my legs, but like it was nice and stretching my legs out. It was nice. I liked it.
Yeah, it can really sort of get you moving, I think. Like when you, it is a sort of a getting used to phase with the game, that sort of understanding what you're supposed to do and sort of how the control scheme works and sort of what you can do or not. But once you learn the basics and sort of understand that there's a lot of sort of vertical motion in the control scheme as well, you can sort of charge down to like get better traction with the skis and like control your air a bit more. Then it can really like become a good leg workout.
Yeah, I would, especially like my ankles and lower legs. Like I guess I don't use them enough daily because I was really feeling the burn. I just only playing for like 20 minutes. Like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I love the game because, like what he's saying, you move your legs a lot, or at least you stretch them out and lean. Where a lot of games, to this day, like that come out, like even if you're standing, they don't make you duck or move or anything, and your legs just get tired. And
yeah,
it's a much nicer experience for those games, or even other experiences that make you move your body. So
like during the whole sort of development of this game, I've been like hell bent on not sort of binding any controls to like button presses or joysticks or anything like that. So I need to sort of incorporate a lot of different motions into the controls to sort of make it work.
And yeah, you nailed that, because like I didn't even realize like you could turn your body. Like I was keeping my head straight because the tutorial was like, it's not tied to your, which way you're looking. So feel free to look around. So I was keeping my head straight and like turning my body, and it was recognizing that I was turning my body. I don't know how you did that.
Yeah, exactly. You can sort of step sideways or like lean sideways and control it. I mean, if you are like prone to motion sickness, that's sort of the most comfortable way of playing the game, to sort of like kneel in one or the other direction to sort of control the skis that way.
Yeah,
just
I like
focus with the gaze straight down the slope.
The tutorial you added. I think it's really nice. It just kind of has you do the motions and get comfortable with it, and again, like you said, no button presses. It's just all headset and controllers. You don't push a single button, and it just works. It feels really good.
Yeah, and now I have like not a robotic but an actual person sort of giving you instructions as well. There were like a guy leaving a review on the demo I released on App Lab that sort of said that you need to get like voice acting into the game, and then I contacted him and got him to do the voice lines
Nice.
for.
Nice.
And it turned out quite well.
The only part of the tutorial was confusing. I don't remember what term that was used to say like how you're pushing the sticks. I don't even know what they're called for skiing. It's been so long, but like you use those to push off like right away, but you don't need to use them while you're skiing. But I didn't understand the term. But I was pushing buttons and gripping and everything else, but I didn't realize, like, I thought the buttons were going to be doing something, so I wasn't going anywhere. So I'm sitting there just doing like a choo-choo train, like sort of motion with my hands. I'm like, oh, squat down, don't need buttons. This is nice. It's a puzzle game.
Yeah, the term is like sort of the term is to punt, I think, right? With like the ski poles, sort of.
Punt.
I mean, I don't know if it's I've Googled it and sort of, so that's what it's supposed to be, but I haven't actually heard it before.
I don't know. The last time I went skiing was like in grade school, and I spent my whole day. There was this really, really big kid in our class, and he kept falling over backwards, but his legs were out to the side with his skis on, so he couldn't get up. He just kept doing it. So my entire day for our ski trip, and that's the only time I've been skiing, was helping this poor guy up. So it could be punt, it could be any other term. I don't know. It still made sense. I was the dummy.
I haven't actually skied very much either. I mean, I've gone on a couple of ski trips, but I'm far from a good skier.
Well, you made a heck of a skiing experience, because when I went over that steep slope that made me had to take the headset off because I thought I was going to fall over. But I was leaning all sorts of ways. I was in like such a position. I was leaning so far that I don't know how I wasn't touching anything when I'd been touching everything that whole time. I was like, this is weird. I thought I was in space, like nothing else was around me. I'm like, this is dangerous. It felt like I was falling.
That's sort of an amazing thing with VR. How it has such an extremely strong impact on our sense of balance somehow. Like you can really get that sort of feeling of like, I'm gonna fall over, but then you aren't somehow.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That's one thing that's really like weird as well with them. Like the slopes model in the game are like a lot steeper than than actual ski slopes. And I think if you sort of try to model a slope and put it into the game that sort of follows like a normal black skiing course with like 20-30 degrees tilt or something, it just feels really flat in VR somehow. So it's like really exaggerated in the game. And I think that's also like one reason that sometimes you sort of just realize, oh shit, this is really, really steep.
I was gonna ask, how, when you're kind of working on a game like this, where it's a real life thing you can go and do. Like, how do you decide how much to gamify it, for lack of a better term, to kind of make it, like you said, if you just did a normal course, it wouldn't feel as, I don't know, it wouldn't feel as crazy, but it wouldn't feel as exciting. So how do you judge how much gamification to put into it?
That's sort of the most important thing is the gamification, or like the sort of to make it work as a game. I'm not much into creating like a skiing simulator,
Right.
because that's because of the limitations of the tracking, and that there is no tracking of like the lower body and stuff. You can't really make it into a simulation anyway. So it's like I'm definitely leaning more towards like an arcade sort of just like fun version of skiing.
It's a perfect
It's
blend between like simulation, like actually trying to make sure I'm not doing something wrong, and just like flowing with the music, not hitting any of the sound gates because I suck. I'm trying. I need to take a recording of me and like the real life me in the game or something like that, because trying to hit those rings when they were coming down and like trying to brandish the ski sticks, like it was great. That was great.
So last time you're on, you talked about, it wasn't in the game build that we were playing yet, but you talked about like the ghost skiers and all that. Were you able to? I saw that there was an option in there to have them on. Did you get to implement that? And will I see Wookiee sliding down the hill?
Like right now there is ghost skiers in the game, and sort of each sort of successful ski run will like record person skiing that run, and like save it in a database, and then when you start like a new run, random ghosts are selected, so you can see them in the slope. There is no like name tags or anything on them, but sort of the skiers that you see as you go down the slopes are like recorded versions of other people.
Nice.
And it's sort of the last one of the main things that remain to sort of flesh out with the game, to make that part like better, and being able to like challenge your friends, and like to be competitive in that way. And I'm also actually like lately I've really started to appreciate sort of how powerful like, multiplayer and social interactions are in VR. I'm like starting to sort of pivot or be more interested in actually implementing real-time multiplayer for the game, and try to make it a fun meeting place for people.
Gotta make a lodge and get a cup of cocoa with your friends.
Exactly.
Either PJ has a really good memory for the last episode, or he went back and listened to it, because I didn't remember that part, but now I think we did talk about that.
I don't remember it, and I didn't listen to it for a while now. So
I remember we were talking a lot about like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I think back in that episode, and I mean a big part of that is sort of the time trails against the ghosts of other players. So I think that was sort of the thing I had in mind back then.
So
No, it's just more like an. Sorry.
Oh, I was just with the release of the game. Like, do you still have a lot of plans for it? Or are you kind of looking to do the next project, or what's your plan?
But it's sort of a combination right now. I feel as I said, I'm really starting to appreciate sort of the social aspects and multiplayer experiences in VR. Like I've been playing a lot of walkabout mini golf
Nice.
with friends and like family lately. I mean, there is like no other sort of remote communication that actually allows for like communicating with body language and feeling like you are at the same place. So I mean, so that kind of interactions in VR is really interesting, I think. So what I'm sort of planning to do at the moment and what I'm working on is like trying to create a good sort of system for frictionless multiplayer and being able to sort of hop into games and join your friends as they play. And I'll probably try to implement something like that into the Central Alps as well before I'm done with the game.
Nice.
And then it's also sort of continuing to add a couple of more courses and tweak the game some more and like try to listen to feedback from the people who's playing it at the moment. I think sort of the real-time multiplayer and the social stuff in the game is probably like the last big thing I'll do on the game.
Okay. Well, if you want an idea, I love the what's it called? The trolley or the tram, the loading screen, the real quick screen that pops up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I just figured it'd kind of be funny to, even if you can't see other people, like race with them or go skiing with them, like you could meet them at the bottom of the slope and right up in the escalator or the lift together.
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of the thing. A little bit like what I had in mind, sort of to make it go like when you're actually on a ski trip together. I mean, you're not that social in the actual slope because you're skiing at high speed. But it's the interaction sort of when you're standing at the top, like talking, and when you reach the bottom, and then maybe you stop halfway and talk, and yeah, something like that would be really cool. I don't know exactly how I will do it, but I'll try to experiment with it. Because especially from playing Walkabout mini golf lately, I'm just. I mean, it's so cool to just jump in with a couple of friends, at different places like in the world, and actually feel like you're sort of sharing the same space.
Yeah, it's since you brought up Walkabout mini golf, like I've played that quite a bit with different people, and it's just like real life mini golf. I mean, you feel like you're there, and you got people messing around and joking around, and well, one person's shooting, and they're all trying to mess with that person. So it's pretty realistic.
Yeah, it's really a fantastic implementation of multiplayer, I think.
I would be too tempted to trip other people.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe implement sort of the option to tackle each other as well.
Just stick the skiing stick in between their legs and stuff. That would be full contact descent Alps.
Exactly, the full contact update.
It's PG and I, when we were young, I don't know, remember if we went into this last time we came, but we had a big slope in our front yard when we were real little kids, and we would go sledding down it when it would snow because we were up in the northern part of the country, and we would just, like, we called it kamikaze sledding because we would usually be 2-on-2, and we'd have friends over and stuff, and we would just like jump kick the other people like off of their sled.
Yeah.
We could like commandeer, take over their sled by the time we got to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were crazy. We had jumps and stuff. Speaking of jumps, I do like how you added the shoot, what's it called? The
ramps?
jump, the long jump. See how far you can jump.
Yeah, the ski jump mini game stuff.
I think I hit 900 feet. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's as far as I could go.
Yeah, I haven't really tried to optimize it myself, but I mean, yeah, you can definitely at least go as far as landing sort of in the flat area. It sort of requires that you basically extend your legs at sort of the perfect spot, and then that you are like completely still, because every sort of motion you make midair will sort of lower your air time.
Nice.
Something like that. Yeah, that's something I'm also, for the next update that's gonna come out probably in June or July. I'll add another mini game that's sort of a. Do you know what moguls are? It's like small bumps, basically. There is like an Olympic kind of competition where you like you ski a slope of moguls and you try to do it like as clean as possible with as little air as possible.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna add sort of one of those mogul bump runs as well, where it's basically the opposite of the ski jump. You sort of have to work with your legs up and down all the time to sort of compensate for the bumps, to not like lift off the ground.
I like that jump. It's just a really steep, nice, long drop. And you just get to the end and stand up straight.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a couple of turns on your way down as well.
Be me going sideways, doing an upside down helicopter on accident.
Yeah, and maybe implementing tricks and stuff like that. It's I don't know, could be cool, but. Have you seen the trailer for this, like the carb snowboarding game coming to Quest?
Yeah.
In the summer.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. It was a pretty fun game way back when. I've also tried the Powder demo. I don't know if you've tried it or not. It's a skiing snowboarding game.
Sort of, they have like a control scheme where it's almost like you have like you're steering a bicycle. At least when I tried it, sort of you have your hands in front of you and you like turn with like a steering rod almost. I remember, Powder VR was like that, right?
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't even get to the end of in the demo anyway of the slope on the skis, but on the snowboard I did all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only tried the skis, I think, in that game.
The whole time I was thinking of Descent Alps because I don't remember if Powder, if there was any music or not, but that it's just, I find Descent Alps just so relaxing. So it's just easy to hop in there, do a couple skis, a couple runs, and go to bed. It's just pretty chill.
It's just something with music and VR. I think it just makes the experience a lot more pleasant somehow. Like just the rhythm stuff seems to work really, really well for some reason.
Yeah.
Giving us throwing a little bit of it into the game makes it's more enjoyable for me, at least.
How was your experience with the Oculus App Lab process? Was that pretty painless, or was it kind of a pain in the butt, or do you not want to say?
So I was invited to the App Lab beta testing, like in sort of the end of last year when they were trying out sort of the process.
Nice.
So it was really, really painless for me because like then it was only, I mean, when App Lab launched, it were like, I can't remember, 8 or 10 games or something that launched. And Descent Alps, the demo was one of those games. So then back then it was like no waiting queues, and we got like instant support when we tried to upload our stuff and adjust it to work for App Lab. So yeah, it was really easy, and I think it's generally, I think it's a really good thing they have done. I mean, as you said yourself earlier, it sort of lowers the friction, and getting games from side quests is a bit of a hassle.
Yeah. I haven't tried
Then, yeah.
the side quest like companion app, the mobile app, where you can just kind of do the same thing now, but I haven't installed anything that way yet. I'm just curious. I wonder if that's a smooth transition.
I mean, it's. I guess I haven't tried it either, but it should be a little bit smoother, I suppose. But it's. I mean, you still have the issue with having to have a developer account and sort of getting the game installed in the sort of whatever it's called, unlisted or
Yeah.
kind of
Unknown.
section in that unknown, yeah,
Yeah.
unknown sources. But yeah, it's. But I mean, side quest is also really good community, and sort of people users on side quest has been really positive and I think supportive of like indie developers. So, and I think there is a bit of a risk of App Lab sort of destroying that community or like making it less active.
Right. I'm always afraid of that. When the main developer or big developer kind of takes from the community, like, oh, you for regular, flat games, oh, you made this cool mod that made our game better. Let's just take that and add it into an update. It's kind of like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there is a little bit of that going on with Oculus at the moment. I feel sort of. I mean, they are a bit cherry picking sort of the best stuff generated by the community and like making official versions of it. And MapLab is of course a little bit like that. Side quest, and also this. I mean, they are developing a sort of the Oculus Developer Hub. That's. I mean, it's a really good tool and it's helpful as a developer, but all of its features are sort of mirroring what the old SideQuest desktop app used to do.
Yeah.
Sort of as a wrapper on Android debug bridge. Sort of what I'm excited about now, and I'm sort of looking forward to hearing more about is like their plan for transitioning games from App Lab to the main store. Or perhaps making App Lab games a little bit more visible.
Right.
Because I mean, it's especially for a game like the Alps that sort of is not that hardcore really, and I mean it's more of like a casual game. Perhaps it's not that appealing to sort of the typical side quest user. So sort of getting outside that side quest bubble and getting exposure to sort of more casual VR consumers would be really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right. Like the side quest crowd, they are kind of more the hardcore. They'll try anything, they'll play anything, they want new things. But I think like the average person that buys a quest seems like they are more of obviously like a casual player. A lot of the casual games seem to be doing really well. So
yeah, I mean there's definitely sort of a similar demographic to like the people who used to buy and play a lot of Nintendo Wii games. But I think it's sort of getting into buying Oculus Quests, like sort of as a family entertainment, perhaps that you sort of play in the living room together with like, I mean, your children or that kind of user. And I mean, and I don't think that they are probably not on SideQuest or App Lab to a very large extent.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of confusing. Like App Lab, like I think it works well. It's a great thing. But they still kind of like hide everything, and it's still kind of like really confusing when I'm searching for a game, and it's like, it's not on the store, but if you click this link, we have it over here. It's like, well, what's the difference?
Yeah. I think it's like perhaps one layer of warnings too much. I mean, you get this pop-up when you enter the page, and I guess that's alright. But sort of hiding it below this like expandable app lab thing when you search for games is a bit too much, I think. Like another thing that they do that is quite cruel. It doesn't really affect the Alps that much, but for example, there were like a go-kart, Mario Kart kind of game that launched on App Lab just a few days ago. And I saw the developer for that game pointing out that sort of when you search for the exact name of his game, like there's another go-kart game that turns up instead, and sort of that App Lab listing is hidden behind like the App Lab sort of expandable tab. So that's a bit cruel to sort of just show the results for like almost for a similar game.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
That's really mean.
It's already there's so many games out, like it's already a flooded market. Like that's just like another kick in the pants.
Yeah, that's really. I think it kind of feels like Oculus were taken by surprise as well. That there were so many games sort of waiting to be released.
Yeah.
I think there's like 100 and somewhere like between 150 and 200 games on App Lab now or something.
Yeah, it's like 10 a week at least they release.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean the wait. I think the wait times for getting a game released on App Lab now is like 1 to 2 months or something.
Yeah. We kind of, when we started this podcast, we kind of just Wookie and I talking about VR, and I'm like, we should start talking to developers if we can and whatnot. It's like, well, how often can we do that, and how long can that last? And it's like, because back then, it seemed a little more. There's a lot of good stuff out, but it seemed a lot more. I don't want to say barren, but like not a whole lot going on. But here we are a year later. We talk to a new developer every week. It's just, and there's always on Twitter. I'm talking to all kinds of people. Like, there's no end in sight. So,
I mean, it's definitely expanding quite rapidly. It has to do with the. I guess it has to do with the success of the Quest. That it's a lot of people are getting interested. But I mean, it's still quite small though. I feel it's. I mean, I kind of feel that I have like almost an overview over sort of the different developers that are sort of developing games for the Quest outside sort of the main store and that are on App Lab. At least most of them, I think. I mean, comparing to sort of traditional games, it's still really, really small.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, from the last time we talked to you to now, like, is your overall journey of releasing the game been a positive thing? Like, are you glad you did it? Is there anything you maybe change? Or it's always intriguing to me, like, being a game developer, you work on something so long and then release it, and then you're kind of on to the next thing sometimes. And VR is a little different. It seems like developers are still always tinkering with it after it comes out, but
I don't know if we talked about this last time, but I've kind of viewed this Alps and this as sort of my education and like entrance into becoming a VR developer somehow. Because I mean, previously to starting the work on this game, I had very little experience in game development. So I mean, it's definitely worth it for me to sort of take a game from zero to actually releasing it and getting as far as people are willing to actually buy the game and seem to be quite happy with it. Sort of that whole, like learning every step of that and sort of understanding what goes into the different parts. It's super valuable.
That's good to hear. Sometimes it feels like it's a negative journey and I feel bad, but I'm glad it's working out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not negative for me, at least. It's and I don't really, I don't feel like discouraged or sort of like scared by by the process either. I'm looking forward to actually starting sort of a new project as well. Yeah, it's positive, and also it has opened up a lot of doors for me. I've never really worked on the Alps full time. I did it for like 4 months, almost full time. But then it has been a side project for me, sort of part time. And I mean, and at the moment, I'm working as sort of a subcontractor or a freelancer for Resolution Games here in Sweden as well. And I mean, and
Cool.
working on the Alps has been like sort of a way of getting into that kind of stuff as well. So yeah,
Awesome.
positive.
Respawn is one of my favorite gaming companies, and I don't know if you.
Resolution?
Yeah, Resolution. Sorry,
Yeah.
I totally messed up. But yeah, Resolution Games. We've had Tommy Palm on the podcast twice, and just very humble, very awesome guy. And the other people I've talked to, like, it just sounds like they're so great to work with. I hope it's true for you, but
yeah, they are
kinda,
right.
I'm interested in what you're doing. I know you probably can't say anything, but I'm really interested in what you're doing with them now.
Well, I'm sort of mostly doing. I help them do a couple of like ports to mobile VR, other mobile VR platforms, and
Okay.
sort of updates and tweaks of some of their Quest version, some of the Quest versions of their games, and then
Nice.
the latest thing I was involved with was porting Carly and the Reaper Man to Quest and implementing the multiplayer in that game.
It's awesome. That's a fun game on PC. I haven't played it on Quest yet, but
yeah, it's a really cool game. It's sort of like platforming in VR is surprisingly fun, I think. I mean, you get that whole sort of depth vision, and you can really do like precision platforming.
Yeah.
And also the social aspects of that game is really nice. Sort of being able to see the Reaper Man like doing his stuff.
Yeah. For anyone listening in, Wookie, I don't know if you know what that game is. It's an asynchronous game where the VR person is kind of like the Reaper Man call, kind of like Death, helping this the little person or the person playing on the flat screen on either mobile or PC or whatever they have. You're like a platformer, like a 3D platformer, and the Reaper Man like helps move things and helps you get across things. It's really neat. It's a lot of fun co-op.
Yeah, exactly. It's like quite a traditional platformer, but then there's like a second VR player that builds sort of towers of blocks and builds bridges and stuff for you to platform on. And then sort of the Quest version that I was involved in, the person playing the sort of the platforming character in third person is in VR as well. But from a third person perspective.
Very neat.
That sounds really fun.
I really like those games, and I keep wanting to say Respawn now. Resolution Games. They have a couple of the asynchronous games because my wife, I think we talked about this last time you were here, but she can't play VR because she gets sick watching movies sometimes, like motion sickness. So anything I can do to play with her while I'm playing VR is very appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They have this Acorn game as well, right?
Yep.
Where sort of you can play on your phone and have one person in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool for sure. And I think for the Quest version of Colin the Riftman, you can actually, there is still possible to play sort of the third person player on. There's like a free desktop application that you can download and play it that way.
Very neat stuff.
But yeah, the whole journey for me with developing the Alps has been great, and I'm sometimes getting like burned out on the game itself when I'm like play testing before releases and stuff. But I'm it's almost crazy, but like so I still find like actually playing the game enjoyable. So
That's awesome. I'm always happy to hear that because I saw there's one dev, he sent me a key for his game and I played it. I really liked it. But like the next day, he kind of must have had like a breakdown. He's like, I spent this much on assets and no one's buying my game and this sucks and I wish I would have done something else. It's like,
yeah,
holy crap.
yeah, that's terrible to get into that kind of feeling of
Mm. But I think it's, even if it doesn't work, if it works out, awesome. But even if you maybe don't make money, like it's easy for me to say right here, right now, but just think of it as a learning experience, like you said, and just kind of take the good and move on. But
that's sort of the angle I've had on it all the time, sort of as a learning experience and as sort of as building sort of a portfolio as a developer.
Nice.
But I mean, I'm also pleasantly surprised that the game is actually selling at least more than nothing. And it's been out for a month now, I think, the paid version. It also seems to be like selling at quite a stable rate, which is nice. So
yeah, I think it came out right around my birthday, so it's almost exactly a month ago. So that sounds right. Yeah, I was excited to see it pop up on App Labs. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it took like polishing the game sort of to a level that I felt comfortable actually charging money for it. Was that took a lot of time. There's so many small details, and also we're like especially in a game like this on Alps where the player has quite a lot of sort of freedom of motion and movement. They can go to like ski pretty much wherever you want in the slope.
Yeah.
Sort of making that stable and not glitchy. Yeah, was a challenge. There are so many players that actually like tries to break the game. It almost seems like
they come in handy though. Sometimes you need those people.
Yeah, definitely. And
if you do that in
I was just gonna say that I'm also like pleasantly surprised that many of those people actually come into sort of the Discord or send me a mail or something like, yeah, I managed to break your game in this way.
Nice.
And then like being really helpful about it. And I mean that makes it a lot easier to sort of polish the game as well.
Yeah, the good feedback is it's such a rare thing when people actually give good, like constructive feedback. Because like, some people can give you a little bit and like, it's this, they can't really explain it, but somebody that can just help you, polish something off, it's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, for sure. It's I'm surprised by how many, and I think that's one part of the sort of the side quest community, that they managed to sort of build a community that had that mindset that they were like a part of sort of helping figure out how to develop VR games and like make VR games better in general. So I think a lot of side quest users were like really good at helping out with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If you do add multiplayer in there, just picture this: if somebody stumbles and falls, I don't know if you can really do that, but like I can see PJ and I racing, and then PJ gets to the finish line, turns around, and there's just like Wookie the snowball with like the skis hanging out of one end, just rolling down. Like I just keep gathering snow because I'm going to be useless at it. I'm not going to give up. Still cross the finish line.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea to sort of have a hardcore mode where you can turn into a snowball and like get the maximum VR sickness simulation as well, with just tumbling inside the snowball without fading to black.
You just get to see the sky and then the snow. And then
exactly.
Sky and the snow. And then you throw up.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing of making like good VR multiplayer games. I think it's sort of being able to sort of to capture like the comical motions of your fellow players, like in their avatar. So you can see that they are actually falling over or like losing their balance or something.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Like conveying that sort of personality.
Or if once you fall down, it's kind of game over. But then some games let you, like walk around after you lose the game or still spectate. Maybe you're in the snowball mode and still rolling down the thing. You can kind of control the snowball in like a third person view, but you're just kind of out of the race. You're just trying to mow down other people, like pinball.
Yeah, it sort of turns into like Katamari Damacy or whatever. You have to like roll up the other skiers.
The more skiers you collect on your way down. That's funny. And everybody can fight for control. It might be a different game.
Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, it's gonna just start off with everyone just immediately crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mode.
Grand Theft Auto Alps. Grand Theft Alps.
Like, okay, guys, I put that in as a joke, and now no one's playing the game how I wanted it to be played, and I spent all this time on it.
Yeah, that's probably bad too. It's like, speaking of that, going off of VR again, some games do put in game modes that are more fun than the actual game. And the first thing I remember is like, on like the PS2 or something, there was some old racing game, and it took so long to load that they put Pong in the loading screens, and more people were playing that Pong loading screen and then like backing out and then loading another race just so they could keep playing Pong. Then I always remember, I look fondly, like the best Call of Duty time I've had in any recent memory, which is a long time ago, is the prop hunt, where you could be like a wagon wheel. Like you're not a player character anymore. You're not a human. You're just literally a prop from the level trying to hide. I'd probably still be playing that, but it was only like, I don't know, 2-3 week event. I would still be doing that right now.
Yeah, that was a fantastic game mode for sure. I was talking about that game actually with a friend not so long ago. That would make a fantastic VR game.
Maybe we talked about it last time you were here. We talked about it with someone making a hide and seek game in VR. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah. And like especially that kind of prop hunt thing where sort of you hide as like a wagon wheel or a, I don't know,
lamp
or something. Lamp, yeah. That would be really fun.
I got onto that track the other day. My girlfriend plays that Genshin Impact game that's on the phone and everything else. And there's a event I think ended yesterday where it was hide and seek like that. You can be a barrel or a box or whatever. She was laughing her ass off about it. She had turned into a lantern and she thought she was gonna win and not get spotted. But the sun went down and the lantern turned on, like she lit up behind like a bush, and she, just got caught. And I was like, "That's funny.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
That's fantastic." Yeah.
So I think last time we talked about kind of the state of VR too. Just curious, like, have you seen a lot of changes in VR, or do you think there's a couple things on the horizon that are going to be game changers coming out soon, or you kind of just focus on what you're doing instead, type of thing?
I mean, I try to stay updated as much as I can, and I really like sort of tuning into like the VR discourse and like trying to listen to what happens. And I try to play a lot of the new stuff that comes out and most of the stuff that's released on Lab as well, at least to try it. I mean, it doesn't really seem like there are any like big titles or big games coming out. But definitely this realization that just like sort of the ordinary social interactions in VR, like we were talking about, sort of playing a mini golf game in Walkabout Mini Golf and just hanging out with friends in a natural way. I think that's something that a lot of people are starting to realize is really, really powerful in VR. And there really aren't that many good games or sort of things that allows for that yet. So I think it's gonna happen a lot of stuff on that front. I saw like a Twitter post a couple of days ago with someone saying that that VR games, all VR games should be built sort of as multiplayer games, and you only play solo but in a multiplayer sort of setting if you play single player. And that it's always opened up for people to hot join and sort of come in and join you as you play. I thought that was a really sort of interesting idea.
I like that sentiment too, because I'm always the same way. Usually I'm playing a game, and like I said, we've mentioned before, PJ and I play a lot of games together. Some games are like, I can't play it if it's not multiplayer. I don't know why I think that way, but some games are just like, I need somebody to drop in and hang out with this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Have it. But it's like,
it's a
lot of extra work on a poor indie dev.
It is a lot of work, but I think it's probably one of the most interesting format for VR. It just seems like there are a couple of things that works really well in VR. It's rhythm games, at least for me, seem to just be a really good fit. And also this sort of casual social interactions, when they are present in the game, they just become a lot more interesting. And like you can sort of also stand sort of the discomfort of being in VR a lot better. I think if there are other people in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true. And I know a little bit about the Unity game engine, and it's like you can spawn in stuff, and the way you code it does, this one way. But if you want to use multiplayer, you got to use things like instantiate. And I've mentioned that before, and I don't know all those commands, but it's also like if you don't start developing it that way from scratch, you got to go rewrite it all. That's going to be.
Yeah. It is a lot of hard work to make it good. For example, like when I was involved in this Carly and the Reapman port now recently, that game didn't have any online multiplayer before, and wasn't really written to support that either. And that was a lot of work, and it also the implementation has a lot of imperfections. Yeah, you definitely need to design your game with that in mind, at least to make it work really well.
Yeah.
And like one thing that doesn't really have to do that much with the game's design is that I think is really important is like the sort of ability to have like persistent multiplayer sessions that you can create your room and you can sort of jump into it 2 days later. Or perhaps that, if you are a couple of friends playing, you're always playing sort of in the same room with the same name, and if someone else wants to join, they can just hop into the same session. To have that sort of persistent thing.
It would make young Wookiee, like child Wookiee's dreams come true if every game just had that.
Yeah.
Realistically, I would love it. Because,
it's really hard, and most games don't have it.
When it's done really well, it's such a nice thing to have. Like there's other Ubisoft games and stuff where you're just walking around, your friend shows up, and maybe the enemies scale up in difficulty or whatever.
Exactly.
It's really nice.
Yeah. I hope that's sort of one thing that will happen with VR in the coming years, that players and developers realize that that's really important. Are you looking forward to any specific games? Like that's on the horizon?
Right now, like with the game Demio from Resolution Games, I'm mostly excited for the content they're looking to add to keep that game going. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's a good example as well of this kind of social VR stuff.
Yeah, when Tommy was on the podcast last week, kind of brought up like just having a minifigure painting mode where you could just sit there and paint minis with your friends and just hang out.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff would just blow my mind.
Didn't you bring up that idea?
Yeah.
I'll mention it. But there are like, it's a great game, and I think the multiplayer works quite well. But even with that game, there are a couple of obvious things that could have been done better. Sort of with like the room codes, it's just really annoying to have like a number combination. They should just have added sort of a database between that support that you could just write whatever name you want. Just to make it more like human friendly. And also that makes sort of remembering old room codes and having persistent sessions possible, because I mean you can't remember like an 8-number combination, but you can remember sort of the name of your dog or whatever.
Yeah.
Like so a lot of those quality of life things would be nice, like friends lists in every game. Just like if you're playing with someone and Demio or anything, you just add them right there, so you don't have to go. Like Xbox has made it easy to add friends and stuff like that with their platform, but not every other platform's as good as that. But if the games, you can just say, oh, tag this person, have a persistent room, like in the case of Demio, if they come out with persistent rooms with really long adventures where you might go through a few maps of, I don't know, forest in between 2 dungeons or something, it's going to take forever, because 3 maps can take you a couple hours.
Yeah, it's a really hard game.
Yeah. It would, quality of life is always good.
Yeah. To answer your actual question, though, a couple of games off the top of I started it. A couple of games off the top of my head. After the Fall looks good to me. It's kind of like, what's that game we played? Shit, Wookie. We just talked about it. Ubisoft game. Wow, I
Watch
blank out.
Dogs.
No,
Division.
Division. It's kind of, it looks a lot like the Division setup, but has zombies in it, unfortunately, which I'm kind of tired of zombies. But the co-op looks really good and the play style looks good. But other than that, I'm again most excited for Ubisoft teased Splinter Cell and Assassin's Creed VR titles. Splinter Cell could really be something amazing in VR, I think, with the 2 different spy layout and then the mercenary layout. So,
sure.
We used to play a lot of the on the very old Xbox. We used to play some of that Splinter Cell with the first-person shooter versus the third-person creepy crawlers, stealthy guy.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting.
I say that, but I say it with a little hesitation because I actually really like Ubisoft as a company, but it scares me when bigger companies start looking into VR, even though that's what we all want. I don't want the community that's there to be like taken over or dissipated by the toxic fan base that some flat games have. So I want all the good stuff, but I don't want any of the bad stuff that comes with it.
Yeah. It's like the same thing I've been lamenting. I saw videos of some like small mom and pop game shops, or just like used game stores, and I haven't seen one of those in forever. And it's kind of like they all get taken over by chains. So I always want like the nice thing. I want somebody to come in and I want my pre-orders to be there, and I want all the stuff. But then careful what you wish for, because then they step on those little ones. Where a friend of ours and that lives in the UK was looking for the Biomutant game. I guess that comes out like tomorrow or something like that. He said he walked into his game shop that he's a regular at or something, I assume. And he was asking about it, see if he could put down like a pre-order if it was too late. And the guy just gave him sold him a copy and gave him the disc like 3 days early or something. He's like, been playing it. Nobody else has it. And I was like, I kind of miss that sort of, you got friends and things. It's nothing's personal like that anymore. So if Ubisoft or something comes in, I know they've got Star Trek Bridge Crew and they've been towing in there, but it's also, well, I do like what they've, some of the Assassin's Creed changes they've done. It's also like they could just come in and just steamroll everything. And then if one person's got like AAA consistent like yearly titles because they have billions of dollars, then nobody's going to want to play the indie games anymore. Because I have that and like the flat gaming, like I'll see a AAA game or an indie game and I'm like, I should give the indie game my money. But then
it's gonna be
it's tough.
it's gonna be really interesting to see if there is gonna be sort of consistently coming AAA games to VR and what happens in that space. I mean, it doesn't really seem very promising to me at the moment, but who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I still think that sort of the only real AAA VR game is Half-Life Alyx. At least that I have really enjoyed and sort of that has felt sort of built for VR properly.
Yeah. Have you played Asgard's Wrath?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. See, that's still my favorite all-time game in VR, just because, well, many reasons. It's like 40 plus hours, and I love the lore and all that. But I think there's just a lot to do in it. But most people will say Half-Life.
I just for some reason I can't really play. I can't play that kind of big, like extensive games in VR. I can only manage like sessions of like maximum 30 minutes or something.
Sure.
Then I need to take a break, and that sort of makes it so that I can't ever get into that kind of games.
No.
Unfortunately.
Do you get motion sick?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you get motion sick or?
Sometimes, but not really, not motion sick in that way. I just get so sort of the general discomfort just takes a toll on me. Sort of, I feel like I just feel tired, and I can't really concentrate on what's going on in the game because
I get that.
I feel sort of the weight of the headset, and I feel like I hear at least when I on the Quest, like you hear the cooling fans humming, and yeah. So for me, VR is definitely sort of short bursts. And I would say the sort of the exception from that for me is sort of the social stuff when you're actually in there with other people that you're talking with, and then I forget about the discomfort sometimes.
Do you think the games? Sorry, go ahead, PJ.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was one of the last questions I had. I was just, as a developer, VR games are still kind of shorter, smaller, bite-sized type thing. Some people like it and it works really well. Some people are like, hey, I want this, the big 100-hour plus games and this and that. And it seems like we're kind of having this discussion on Twitter, and it seems like those of us that like the big, longer games have actually kind of been worn down to just wanting like a brand new game every week, just shorter. Like, you play this game for a week, you move on to the next game. And I think it's kind of how VR has trained some people. I was just kind of curious of your perspective on that, but I didn't think about the comfort thing. Maybe that's some of it too.
I think that's a lot. I mean, I could never. I can't really, with the current hardware and sort of the situation of VR. I can't imagine like a very grindy game in VR, for example. Like I can't imagine playing sort of Diablo in VR, even if it's like a really good implementation of it. Yes, because I feel that it doesn't really lend itself to like lengthy play sessions. And I feel that VR games need to sort of be designed to be able to play like in very bite-sized portions. And also for all of us that are playing a lot of VR games and have been for a long while. And also, like as a developer, I have the headset on me a lot each day. And I mean, I'm used to it, and sort of I know how to sort of how to be comfortable in VR. But for most players, it's not like that. So then I think it's even more important to sort of be able to slice the experience up in shorter bursts.
Sure. What were you going to say, Wiki, before I cut you off?
It's probably gone.
Okay.
Something
It is
to do
interesting.
with the short games or something like that, but it's
Okay.
probably
It is interesting when you say, you know, if you're playing with other people, it takes your mind off. It is, I guess, if you think of that as like a grounding thing, that helps too, because like if you have a fan on, it helps. You know, the headsets
Exactly.
actually get warm, and that probably does make your head a little fuzzy. And
Yeah, it's a grounding thing that sort of it takes away a little bit of the sort of jarring thing with the VR experience sometimes with having like the other persons in there. But I also think it's sort of a matter of interest. But I think, for example, interacting with my brother, for example, that lives in like the other end of Sweden in VR, and talking with him. It feels like more interesting than most sort of plots in a game.
sure.
So I'm probably more focused on sort of what he's saying and looking at what he's doing. I guess. I mean, just observing sort of other persons doing things is normally very interesting.
it actually brings me back to what I lost. It was
Yay.
when you say here, it seems like you're more engaged when there's like, you know, you're hanging out with somebody. Is that just because the games aren't really like, kind of sounds like you don't want big blockbustery, like story driven games. You want your slices. That be kind of the adverse effect of not having a big game to suck you in, like to make you forget about all that stuff? Could a game be that good?
Probably, yes. I mean, I think it's a combination of the game being that good and the hardware getting better. But I mean, I definitely, I mean, I can definitely see it happen, and it did happen, kind of with Half-Life Alyx for me. I did do quite long play sessions in that game and really enjoyed it. But I've not really been able to get into sort of other games of that kind in a similar way. I mean, it might also just have been sort of the Half-Life sort of starstruck thing.
Yeah.
Sort of, this is like almost Half-Life 3 and I have to play it.
Yeah, that happens too. I've just been noticing in games in general, everything's coming into more of the almost throwaway games, not just VR, but like other games, that there's nothing really that's been holding my attention because it all turns into a grindy mess. Like there's really fun to be had, but it's not going to be a long standing game. They seem to trade big story over, you know, just playability with the least amount of input or
like games as a service.
Yeah, it's like here, play this thing 50 times for the chance to get a piece of gear, and it's like, oh my god. So much so that
really.
I find myself like I really want to go revisit games like The Witcher because that one just straight up, I didn't have any of problem with that, and it sucked me in, and I couldn't stop like while I'm working, day job stuff, thinking about playing The Witcher or the Mass Effect remake thing, which I had qualms about buying, but it's like I really just want to be sucked into a story again, and it was kind of I had forgotten it was coming out. So I did end up getting that. It's like, this is great. Because,
I've been playing that. I bought that too. And it is so bizarre that a game that's 14 years old is the game I've been looking for in a flat screen realm for a couple years now. Like I'm playing it. I've already got like 30 hours on it.
Witcher or Mass Effect?
Mass Effect, the
legendary remake.
Yeah.
Witcher's next.
It's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm missing that, and I know not everybody's got the chops that old school BioWare did when they started making those games to pull people in like that. But it's just nobody hangs around. So even if there's a big multiplayer game, it seems like there's just not enough people hanging around to hang out with. Like it's just harder and harder to, because even if you get those people, they're already onto another game in like 3 days.
Absolutely, there definitely is like that. Sort of, it's just a big swarm of sort of players just moving from sort of the one big release to the next, and it's really short cycles.
Yeah, like when
absolutely.
Battlefield 1, the World War I game came out. I don't remember where we met these guys, PJ, but we were playing with met them on some shooter. And if you signed up for, I don't know, whatever EA Play or whatever was going on, you got to play the game like a week early, but only for 10 hours. Or maybe it was like 4 days early, but you only had 10 hours of playtime. So we played with these guys and we have fun. And then they figured out some way to do some account thing, and they kept getting 10-hour chunks.
Yeah.
Play. And it was like, they're like, unless you really want to hang around and do this, just wait for the game to come out. So they wouldn't tell PJ or myself how to do it, which is fine. I can wait.
Yeah.
And then the game comes out, and like 3-4 days, maybe a week after launch, they're like, this game's dead already.
Yeah, they're sick of it.
And it's like, you just worked like without sleep to get more 10-hour chunks in the last few days, and the game's dead already. Like, and that just seems to be the.
It's extremely hard to sort of create sticky games or games that have like enough depth. Like
right,
create games that have enough depth to sort of keep a decent sized player base active. I mean, yeah, it seems extremely hard, and I think even in like older times, sort of 5-10 years ago, there were still really few of those titles that actually kept sort of a community active.
And maybe it's just the times we live in, or maybe I'm just getting older, but I like my brain kind of wants the way things used to be more and more. Again, that just could be because, at least here in America, everything is just batshit crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But like, good.
I was just gonna say that I'm a really big From Software fan. Like of the Dark Souls.
Nice.
Yeah, like the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne and those games. And I mean, they aren't really that new either. But I mean, a lot of those games have really managed to capture like an active community.
Yeah. I've been meaning to try them out because my girlfriend's sister just suddenly fell in love with those games. Or maybe she's always on them. I don't know. That's what she's been playing a lot for like seems like a year now. And it's like, well, I've got a PS4 and I think Bloodborne's a PlayStation only. I'm like, I could try them, I guess.
Yeah. If you have a PlayStation 4 and haven't played Bloodborne, I can highly recommend it. It's a fantastic single player game.
It looks fantastic. Well, and like I was a huge fan, or I am a huge fan of the Berserk manga and anime, and the creator of that just passed away, and apparently there's like a Bloodborne's Reddit, and like that game might have been heavily influenced, or the whole series maybe, but Bloodborne, they were saying there's some link that I don't know anything about. They were all lamenting the fact that he passed away. So then I started looking at it, I'm like, this game looks freaking crazy.
It is. I think the main guy behind both Dark Souls and Bloodborne is like a super really big Berserk fanboy.
Makes sense because like that game, that anime is twisted. The opening, if you're unfamiliar with it, the guy's been writing that manga. He just passed away like May 10th. He's been writing that manga since 1989. And he died at 54 due to lack of exercise. It's still going. They never finished it. He's working with a team now. And people are hoping that he gave the team like some notes on where he wanted to go with it. But like the opening scene of the manga or the anime shows a little bit of the backstory of the main character. And it's like his mom was hung from a tree and he slid out as a baby. That's how he was born. It's like, cursed his whole life kind of thing. I'm like, that's so twisted, harsh. Right up my alley. Yeah, like holy cow. And then I'm looking at Bloodborne, there's these weird axe things, and there's just people getting chopped up. I'm like, I need to see more of this.
Yeah.
Somehow I missed it. But
that's great.
I think where I was going with some of that earlier on. Again, I get sidetracked, but it's like some of the games industry has trained people, and like those kids we were playing with that were burning through that other game early. Like, do they just want you to buy the content packs so you don't have to like here unlock all these weapons while playing the game, or pay us another $30 on top of the 60 and you get them all, and then go on to our next game because in 3 weeks we're putting out the game. Like, they've given us short attention spans, or maybe that's phones or just whatever. But it's like I want more stuff like The Witcher 3 and Mass Effect, where like I couldn't stop thinking about it during the day. And I haven't had that for a multiplayer game since way back in the Halo, when we everyone's got a big team, but now those teams are all just never found.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and I think you're right in that there's probably a lot of design going into to sort of making the games quite a short experience, because they have like a big sort of roadmap lined up with releases that they are planning to make, and they already have sort of the hype train built up, and yeah, so yeah, for sure they are built to not last very long, I would guess.
Then don't charge me $60, you bastards.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Well, Peter, I know we can talk for a long time, but I know it's late there, so we're really bad at letting people go when they kind of want to go. So
you gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, it is getting late. I'm definitely enjoyable, but yeah, I should probably get to sleep. It's 2:20 a.m. No.
Sorry, I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
Nice. No worries. I'll just sleep a bit tomorrow instead.
Oh no.
It's one of the big perks of working from home and without any fixed hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, it's great to talk to you again. Really enjoy it. Again, Descent Alps is always fun. I've never had a bad time in the game. So for your first game, it's just, you nailed it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I love the no button controls, the intuitiveness. It's good stuff.
So love to see what happens next with the game and your next project. Excited for, so keep an eye on
I'll
you.
Be back, I'll be back in another year and talk about something else. Hopefully a new game or
looking forward to it.
Something like that.
But thank you so much for your time and getting up or staying up late, whatever you did to do it.
Yeah, thanks to you as well. It was really fun.
Yeah, anytime.
Have a good night, man.
Good night.
Well, everyone, that was Peter Nygren, creator of Descent Alps, out now on Oculus Quest via App Labs or SideQuest, either way. I believe coming soon to the actual Oculus store, if I remember what he said correctly. Check it out. It's just a fun, chill skiing game. Really good controls. It's all movement based.
Yeah, just weaving in inside of this stuff is really fun. Getting used to the controls is cool.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it, but I still enjoy it. So
yeah, the tutorial. You're supposed to follow the guy. He's leaving like a green stripe on the mountain, trying to follow the guy. And me and my like cramped, limited space, I'm just like the tutorial reader had to repeat it like 10 times. He's like, follow along behind the thing. Follow along behind the thing. Like, shut up! I know I suck, but I got better.
Nice. Just a fun game to hop in for, like Peter said, 15, 20 minutes, do a few runs, and try and get a high score. We need to see some more mini games come out. That ski jump's pretty fun.
I have to check that out. It's just a cool looking game. It's a nice, enjoyable hangout time. Just I was kind of shocked because I wanted to check it out last time. Like I said, I forgot to get it off SideQuest, but just hanging around in there and just like seeing it and just like, woo, I'm like scooting down the hill. It's a unique experience. I really enjoyed it. I would like to see other people and try to follow them, because anytime it would put down I'm sure you're going to get better at it, but it would put down like the little whatever they're calling, not pylon, but the little bars you're supposed to hit, and they're like, I'm over way off to the left, and
Yeah.
the bars are dropping over to the right, like on the other side of like a kind of a hill slope in the middle of the slope, and I'm like, I'm not in the right spot, and I'm like, about to hit a wall. I'm like, am I going to die?
It adds that real life immersion where you can hit a tree.
Yeah. Or like I saw a video online the other day. I don't know, videos circulate. It's people going up a ski lift and watching a guy, just kind of slalom slowly and lazily down the slope, but a black bear is chasing his ass. I don't know if he knows because he's just kind of zigging and zagging, and his bear's shambling right down the hill at him. I don't know
Wow.
why. Black bears don't really chase people that often, I don't think. I was like clenching, like, oh, is he gonna get him? It didn't
Must
show.
have had a Snickers in his pocket.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Gross. Oh,
Be a lot of white snow if that was me, or yellow snow. White snow.
What?
A lot of cocaine? No. Yellow snow.
The bear gets PJ and just explodes into fresh powder.
That's good. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out and listening. Check out the game. There'll be links in the show notes. But for the episode, I am PJ.
And Wookie.
And this was our VR verdict.